The way these AP reporters treated Babyface in this interview was a mirror example of the industry in a whole, wrapped up in a bow. The way they performed as if they were interested in conversations about Black musicians, Black female artists, from this multi-Grammy nominated Black creative genius who is Babyface, and were only interested in him in time for a white woman who is an upcoming artist to come and snatch the attention. You cannot write this with a book, even if you had the perfect pen. Let's talk about it.
Y'all already know what time it is. I got the black V-neck
on. What is going on, you all? We got to talk about the reporters who disrespected Babyface and how, to me, this was a mirror example of the industry in a whole. Like, this was by design to me. The way they asked, and in this performative, what's going on with Black music and Black female artists, and asking these questions, and couldn't even focus because a white upcoming artist who is talented, I don't listen to her, but was able to get their attention to the point that they have now dismissed Babyface, who is a legend, who is known for multiple bodies of work that we still consume to this day, and how they were completely dismissive of him, because this is the industry. This is the industry. And let me say this, I don't agree with some of the harassment and stuff that has been happening about them. I do think there needs to be an apology that is better than the one we got. And I'm gonna get into that. I think there needs to be some type of commitment to improve on moments like this, because this also is a connection to what some Black media outlets have talked about, how hard it is to get an interview with Black actresses and actors who are very known or A-list, how hard it is to get access to them because their press folks or PR folks do not see them as worthy of talking to. And you saw the reversal of this, where they did not see someone like Babyface, who is, how many Grammys does Babyface has? They didn't see him as important or relevant compared to Chappell Roan. They did not see him important in this moment. And Babyface handled it well. I will say that. Like, I think he handled it well and said, hey, y'all want to get this? But watching the clip, and I want folks to pay attention because I had to watch, I didn't react to it the first time I saw it, but watching the clip, I kept seeing something tapping him, and I wondered why homegirl, who was in the silver dress, kept moving out the way. Come to find out, there was a hand that kept touching the girl in the black dress when she was interviewing Babyface. She kept being touched by this hand. And you saw the other girl, she was looking at Chappell Roan and she was touched as well. And then a hand kept touching both of them. And I'm asking myself, is this the producer? Why is this happening? Come to find out, it was one of their co-hosts by the name of Gary Hamilton. Now, he has blocked me on Twitter after calling it out, because the way this man has escaped any type of accountability or even standing up for his co-workers is pitiful, to be honest. Gary, if you're watching this, this is very pitiful as a journalist or blogger, same shit, whatever you want to call it. This is disrespectful, because you should have taken some accountability in how you played in this as well. When people tap you one time, there is a sense of urgency. But when they tap you multiple times, it's like, wrap it up. If somebody came and knocked on your door right now and they knock, okay, you know, hey, somebody's at the door, let me go downstairs. If they keep knocking, you know something is wrong. Same if somebody's blowing a horn one time, like, hey, the light didn't turn green, but they keep blowing. It's a sense of urgency. So Gary Hamilton is as much responsible for this as the two hosts are. And I saw people dogpile and say that these two white reporters did not see the significance with Babyface or whatever because they're white. Like, I get, yeah, I don't know if both of them white. I ain't getting into all of that, but it happens. I also think that Gary is responsible for it too. And seeing the way Gary, because he's deleted the tweet now, but Gary responded to, that's the hand that was touching them. He responded to a tweet under the video where someone said that the person who was tapping them was trying to get them to wrap it up in a respectful way. I don't see how tapping somebody multiple times to tell somebody to wrap it up is a respectful way. You can tap them and say, hey, like one time, but to tap them multiple times, like you touched them, you touched again, and then you kept touching and nudging them. You were telling them to wrap it up quickly, fast, in a hurry. He has now deleted the tweet and he has blocked me. And I don't blame Gary Hamilton for blocking me, considering how much attention I brought to this, because one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pay attention to the whole thing. And I saw a hand touching and I was like, I think this is a black hand, like this is a dark hand, but I didn't want to say too much because I didn't want folks, look, I ain't coming out to defend no white folks. I'm not. But I saw how folks were intense, and I know people are intense on all of these things, given these executive orders, the DEI conversation, this election, all of that. Like, people are on, black folks are on alert. Black folks are on alert. They are on 10 right now, and I don't blame them. I feel like we should always be, to be honest. Nothing wrong with it, but the energy needs to be placed accordingly. I'm thinking this is the producer telling them, hey, you got to wrap up. There was no way to wrap up that conversation given the complexity of it. There was no way to wrap up that conversation in a quick way, given that it was a complex conversation about black artists and this fusion, black women, and this person being the person to speak on this, granted how many great artists Babyface has worked with and produced. There was no way for him to wrap it up in 15, 20 seconds. He was going to have to talk a little bit. If that was the case and we had a limited amount of time, you shouldn't have been asking such a complex question like that. To ask that and to say wrap up doesn't make any sense. And Gary was tapping on them to wrap it up. If he was paying attention, he should have known, hey, this question is complex. It's not going to wrap. Let them finish and we're going to see if we get Chappell Roan. But this white woman is a priority. Now, folks will say, oh, she's an upcoming artist and all of that, and we need to get her attention because this is important for us to ask the question. Then stop giving us this performative BS. Stop giving us this performative mess of what it was. It's going to be just enough performance until something else better comes and gets your attention. And it's oftentimes going to be that. These two women asking this black man this question about these things, and him, Babyface, about to answer the questions and get into it, and it's interrupted. And I'm not saying it's Chappell Roan's fault, but this is how these things show up, where these folks pretend as if these conversations are important and they're including black folks into these things, and this is what happens. Gary, your response and how you thrown your co-host under the bus, I hope you never work another day in media given your response to this, because I would never want to work with somebody like you ever again. I would never want, should nobody want to even hire you, considering that you see these girls and how they're being treated online, and that you're not taking any accountability, and you're not even going dark and just being quiet. You haven't even felt the need to deactivate or anything and support and say, hey, we messed up. You stood next to them and you let them apologize and say all of the things, and that you said absolutely nothing. Now, the apology was BS. The apology was BS. And to be honest, I am not enjoying the conversations online and some of the folks who are talking about that these women were more interested in Chappell Roan without including Gary in it as well. Yeah, they more than likely were. But it didn't seem, especially Homegirl in the black dress, she don't deserve any of this. Homegirl in the black dress, that ain't got nothing. She was not doing any of that. And honestly, the girl in the silver, Chappell, baby, let me tell you something. The way I would have told him, hey, let me we gonna finish this, or like, she could have did something like, hey, like this is too much, because I guarantee you, had it been a white man to the level or half the level as Babyface, you would have never even thought about stopping that interview. You would have never thought about it. And if it was so important, Gary Hamilton, you should have tap danced right in front of Chappell Roan and said, hey, Chappell, we about to be right with you. Let's wrap up this interview with him real quick and we're going to get you. That's how you do things. That's how you do things. You could have said, hey, let me go get Chappell. Hey, Chappell, we're about to interview you. Can you give us a quick second? And I'm sure being a reporter and doing this work, working the red carpets, you know, hey, you interviewing, doing this stuff. Hey, let me see. And I'm sure Babyface would have been receptive to that in a better manner. But right game, wrong gal. As my mama would say, y'all did not play it right at all. It was not a team effort. And somebody made a joke and said, this is why I don't like group projects. And I'm going to agree with you 100%. I don't like group projects too, because had that mess happened, let me tell you something. Baby, who deserves to go home and why? I've been watching Drag Race, but it would definitely be who deserves to go home and why? Because if I would have been homegirl in that black dress, I would have named both of them. I was doing my job. And for me to put this tacky video reaction, now why am I in it? Girl, first of all, if you're going to post a video reaction to this magnitude on the iconic Nene Leakes line, now why am I in it? Use one that has a clear edit, which doesn't show a screen recording. Like, girl, if you going to do that, do it right. Like, you can't even do that right. And running social media, it should be easy with something simple like that. But my God, it was just tacky. Just very, very tacky. And he has interviewed some other black folks. He seems to be a cool guy. He's done some interviews with some other folks and stuff. But to see a colleague like that allow me to be thrown under the bus and not take any type of responsibility, I just wouldn't be working with him. It was messed up. And I was trying to see what was going on watching. I was like, why is somebody touching them? So as much as we want to say that they are wrong, homeboy was just as wrong touching them and rushing them in this interview. He should have realized that, hey, they're doing an interview with Babyface. Like, let me not interrupt. It don't matter who it is at this point. I don't care who it is. You're interviewing them, talk to them. I don't care who it is. Everybody deserves the same level of respect, no matter if it's somebody that you don't feel as relevant versus somebody who is relevant. Nobody should be treated like that. Nobody should be treated like that. But it just shows you how all this stuff is a money grab, and it's just who is hot at the time. All of this stuff is lip service, which brings up my point in the beginning that this was all performative. You're asking a very complex question about black women in the industry and what they're doing, this fusion of music, and you're having to rush it for the next white pop girl. This is why we don't see black girls in these lanes, because they're not looked at. This is why it is so significant for Doechii to win this award and to be recognized. And even when she is winning, people are coming up with, oh, she's an industry plant, she is this, and nobody's listening to her music like that. Her streaming numbers are not that high. The moment people realize that streaming numbers does not always equal to be good music, we will move on to something better. And take that how you feel it. But yes, that's my thoughts. Gary Hamilton, you is just as much responsible as Crystal and the other girls. Girl, all of y'all need to do better. But the way you responded to this and threw your colleagues under the bus, girl, you are a pitiful excuse for a journalist. And I hope nobody works with you again. Tell me your thoughts when you saw it. Stop disrespecting black great legends like Babyface. Don't let that ever happen again. Period.